Okay then, so here we go. This is my opinion, and my opinion only, on the Piers Morgan Ronaldo interviews that aired probably 6, 8, 10 weeks ago. I'm a Manchester United fan all my life, and I mean all my life, well over 50 years now. Loved them since being a kid. This may get me in trouble with some United fans who would probably say you should never turn on your own or never call your own. I love Ronaldo from probably the first day I saw him. I remember being, I think, in Turkey at the time, and the match that he played as, I think, a 17-year-old for Sporting against United. It was a friendly in Portugal. I think it was in Portugal many, many years ago now. I watched it in a bar in Turkey on my own. It was a pretty rough, dingy bar, but they had it on some kind of satellite TV, and you could tell then he was going to be good. You never knew how good he was going to be. He had the tendency to fall over easily, and he's carried on that throughout his career, and he got better at it as he got older, and he got worse at it, but kept doing it at the end of his career, which he is now at. But I watched that interview with Piers Morgan, and I thought it was shocking. Just a shocking bit of journalism on Morgan's behalf. I was actually going to ring, as I think I said on an intro video, you may have seen it, TalkSport a day or two after the interview, but just wasn't bothered, and I knew I wouldn't get long enough to say what I really thought. I just thought the interview was shocking. After Morgan doing all he did with the Harry and Meghan interview that Oprah Winfrey did, I know we called Oprah Winfrey, whatever it may be, for being one-sided and so on and so forth. God, that's the most one-sided interview I've ever seen. You know, he was so far up Ronaldo's backside, I can't tell you. From right at the start of the interview, we had it in for Ten Hag. He knows nothing about Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag's done a wonderful job at my club. It was needed. I think he's done fantastically well. I think he's going to do even better. I think they're going to go on to great things. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he did nothing wrong with his handling of Ronaldo. The little bit about the time he never brought him in near the end of a game when we're getting battered to protect his reputation and so on and so forth. I don't know if I agreed with that, but I agreed with absolutely everything else. As I say, right from the start of that interview, all that Morgan did was knock Ten Hag, whom he knows nothing about. He said Ten Hag had it in for Ronaldo from day one. That's totally wrong as I see it. I mean, what I see, Piers, you still think he's a superstar. He's got it in him to be, don't get me wrong, but this is what I see with Cristiano Ronaldo in the last few months at Man United. It was very much that way last season, but this season more so. When I think of Cristiano Ronaldo playing for Man United, this is what I see. I see a guy that's constantly falling on the floor and running all over the floor, like he always has, but more so now, to get a free kick or get a penalty or whatever it may be. But he's got to realise now that the referees won't fall for it, and they know there's no contact being made. And when it comes to penalties, with VAR now, you can't con a referee anymore. You can't con your way to a penalty because they can see whether or not there's contact there. So he's constantly on the floor. When he's not on the floor, he's constantly got his arms in the air because the ball hasn't been given to him. He wants the ball at all times. He's guilty of being really, really selfish himself and not passing the ball on, but he always wants everybody else to work around him and work for him. Now, don't get me wrong, even at his age now, he's still a fantastic finisher. I think the one thing that Manchester United failed him on, and it's something I'll discuss further down the line in another video, is the service from the flanks from United in the main is really, really poor. You know, the full-backs especially are poor, and the wingers aren't great either. You know, we don't have anyone getting to the byline anymore and knocking the ball back. We don't have anybody that seems to be able to put the ball on somebody's head with regularity. He's brilliant in the air. He's got probably 3 or 4 headers in the last year and a half for us because the ball never found his head, especially this season. What Ronaldo needed was the ball a yard and a half in front of him to run onto and to smack into the net. We didn't have that service. He wasn't getting that kind of service. So for that, we failed him. But at the end of the day, he's constantly got his arms in the air, not so much because the service is bad, but because he doesn't come. That isn't good for morale. So he's either always on the floor or always throwing his hands in the air. The other thing he's always doing, or he's always constantly pulled up for, is offside. He's always offside. And he's always offside because he needs a yard or two all the time because he's so slow now. He couldn't catch any balls. What you also got for him with regularity was him chasing a ball and running and falling over, out, because he just couldn't get there. They're the four things I've seen from Ronaldo this year. Yes, he scored the odd goal, but only the odd goal. And with United, a blind man can see they played better without him. They've done better without him. They've done better since he's left. So he just wasn't cutting it anymore. He wasn't cutting it. Don't get me wrong, at Man City, he wouldn't have scored the goals Haaland has scored, but he'd scored more goals. Because they put so many chances on the play, and because the wide play is so much better. The interplay is so much better. They keep the ball more. They've got more attacking threat. They're creating more chances, but they've got people like De Bruyne who can put the ball in front of somebody in his path, which is what he needs. But he wasn't doing it for us. So he just wasn't doing it, and he was a disruptive influence. Yet you can't tell Piers Morgan that. Piers Morgan just absolutely loves him. I think what Piers Morgan loves, he loves the public himself. He loves all the people that he's got on his Instagram and all these other different bits and pieces. And he loves Ronaldo massively because he's the most followed sportsman, is it, in the world? I think he probably is. And I think Piers Morgan getting up Cristiano's backside, I think to Piers Morgan, is great because it might open his channels up to more followers of Ronaldo. But, at least Oprah she may have been friendly with Meghan and Harry, but there was some context in what she did. It wasn't all about them and nothing else. With you, Piers, it was just all Ronaldo, 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 and Ten Hag's no good, and it's wrong. And Cristiano actually told us as well on 3 occasions, I think, in one of the interviews, that he's charismatic. Right, Cristiano, the way that works, that is, people tell you you're charismatic. You let people tell you. You have some modesty about you. You don't tell us 3 times, oh, I'm charismatic, by the way. You don't need to big yourself up like that. There was nobody more charismatic than the great Georgie Best. He didn't tell people. He didn't have to. And what I would say, Cristiano, is watch some of Georgie's old videos. He didn't last as long as you. He didn't have the longevity you had. Far better player than you in my mind. More so now than when I sit back and think about it. He had demons and he had problems and he didn't have your longevity. He didn't score your goals. But what a player. And the thing about Georgie is he stayed on his feet. He always stayed on his feet. There's one goal I seen only the other day. He got chopped 3 times in the run-up to one goal. 3 times they chopped him. I don't mean touched him. I don't mean never touched him and he fell anyway. I don't mean touched him when he may have fell. I don't mean chopped him and should have fell. They did chop him 3 times. He stayed up and I think he scored. But whether he scored or not, that's the thing about the man. He didn't go down. And more importantly, if they did kick him, he didn't go down because he didn't want to show he'd got hurt. He didn't want to give them that satisfaction. Whereas you're on the floor all the time. It's a man's game this. You should be playing it like a man. You shouldn't be rolling all over the floor all the time. So for my money, and that's basically it, that's it, finished, rant over, you wasn't doing it for us, Cristiano. You really, really wasn't. Your time has gone. Yeah, you're scoring lots of goals over there, but you're playing in the Mickey Mouse League now. And as for Morgan, just disappointing, really disappointing. But then again, it's what I would expect of a station that employs Jeremy Kyle and Sharon Osbourne. That just says it all. You're probably, with that kind of interview, that's probably where you belong. That's my opinion. I might be wrong, but again, that's what it's all about. Opinions. Bye for now.